This video explores a chilling case where every second was recorded on camera. Detectives first thought the recordings would provide clear answers, but what they revealed was far more disturbing. Christina Marie Morris, a 23-year-old University of Texas graduate, was last seen on August 29, 2014, sharing a close moment with someone she barely knew. After that night, she vanished completely. No calls, no texts, nothing. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. At first glance, the evening looked like a typical casual hangout in a Plano neighborhood. But within a day, the story started falling apart. Contradictory statements surfaced. Strange clues appeared. And one man, who at first seemed completely uninvolved, kept showing up in the picture. Christina Marie Morris was born July 25, 1991, in Allen, Texas. Soon after her birth, her parents Mark Morris and Johnny Hare parted ways. Christina grew up with her father, his wife Anna, and the sisters of her half-brother, while keeping a warm and loving bond with her mother. Later, when Johnny remarried Ronnie, Christina welcomed him happily into the family. To her, the family always felt complete, divorce and new partners included. She graduated from Allen High School in 2009 and earned her bachelor's degree in business and marketing from the University of Texas at Dallas in 2013. After college, she signed up with an online dating service called Great Expectations. Before long, she moved into the photo department, a position that suited her passions better. Around the same time, she was thinking about starting her own clothing line, drawing inspiration from skater culture. She and Hunter Foster had been friends since they were kids, beginning as best friends before turning romantic. They were the same age. Hunter spent some time in New York chasing an acting career, then came back to Texas. After his return, they lived together in Fort Worth. Christina and Enrique Aroki had gone to the same school but never really knew each other. Their only connection was Paulina Poloski, a mutual friend. Enrique had only known Paulina for a few months, so running into her at that gathering was pure chance. That night, they weren't part of the same tight group of friends. It was Friday, August 29, 2014, and in Texas, the long Labor Day weekend was just starting. People were out partying, catching up with friends, and staying up late. Earlier that day, Christina had gotten into an argument with her boyfriend Hunter Foster and felt on edge. She decided to scrap her original plans and find a different scene. Later in the evening, she called her friend Taylor to vent. The talk cheered her up, and she realized she didn't want to be alone that night. So she drove about 45 minutes from Fort Worth to Plano, where an informal get-together of old friends was happening at a residential complex called the Shops at Legacy. Paulina Poloski had put the gathering together. It was just a laid-back hangout at her place, nothing fancy. Around 9 p.m., the Shops at Legacy, famous for its nightlife, apartments, restaurants, bars, and stores, started buzzing with people. That night, the crowd included several Allen High School alumni, like Christina Morris, Paulina Poloski, and others from their circle. Most of them kept their distance from Enrique Aroki. Witnesses later said he didn't seem interested in Christina at all. Instead, he focused his attention on Sabrina, trying to sit next to her, only to be turned away. That moment reportedly left him visibly frustrated. Others noticed the tension, but it never turned into a real argument. Around 11 p.m., the group decided to leave the apartment and head out. They first stopped at Ringo's Tavern for a drink, then moved to Scruffy Duffy's, a nearby bar. Surveillance video shows Christina entering Scruffy Duffy's just after 12:30 a.m., her ID scanned at the door. Bank statements later confirmed she bought drinks at 12:35 a.m. Security cameras caught Christina walking along the street between bars with Paulina, Sabrina, and Enrique throughout the night. She didn't drink much because she planned to drive home. Still upset from her earlier fight with Hunter, her mood fluctuated, quiet at times, then suddenly more chatty. Still, no one thought her behavior was unusual. Eventually, everyone returned to Paulina's apartment, where things became more relaxed after the bars closed. Though most guests were drunk, Christina stayed fairly level-headed. At one point, the atmosphere shifted when Enrique loudly declared he was leaving, still mad about Sabrina's rejection. He grabbed his things, glanced into Sabrina's room briefly, and walked out. Several people later confirmed this exact sequence. As the night wore on, Christina started texting Hunter. At 2:12 a.m., she asked if he could come get her, saying she had lost her keys. Her messages grew more emotional. Hunter wasn't close, he was in downtown Dallas. Christina kept texting him for another hour and a half. She said she wasn't mad, just upset, and mentioned her phone battery was almost dead. At first, she planned to crash at Paulina's, but she changed her mind after finding her keys. Her last message came at 3:48 a.m., apologizing and saying she hoped Hunter was okay. Cell phone geolocation later showed both Christina's and Enrique's phones in the same general area during that window. After that, Christina's phone signal vanished completely, while Enrique's kept moving and was later picked up in other parts of the city. At that moment, there were no signs of aggression or anything out of the ordinary. On the surface, it looked like a normal night out stretching into the early morning. Around 3:50 a.m., security cameras at the apartment complex captured Christina Morris and Enrique Aroki walking together toward the parking lot, where Enrique said both their cars were parked. The footage showed no conflict, no tension, no aggression. They walked at a normal pace, never pausing or straying from the path, and the streetlights made their figures and movements clearly visible. Christina and Enrique appeared to be heading the same way, staying close as they went. After a short time, Enrique said his Chevy Camaro was parked next to Christina's Toyota Corolla, which matched the direction the cameras caught. The footage was short before both stepped out of view. At 3:55 a.m., an 8-second clip from another camera showed Christina walking slightly behind Enrique through a different part of the parking lot. This was the last time Christina appeared on any surveillance. She didn't show up in any other footage from the area. At 3:58 a.m., a dark-colored Chevrolet Camaro was recorded leaving the complex. It was later confirmed to be Enrique Aroki's. The video shows his car driving away at that time, while Christina's Toyota Corolla stayed parked and didn't move for the next several days. Eventually, her car was found exactly where she had left it the night she vanished. Police reviewed footage from every angle but found no sign of Christina getting into any vehicle, including Enrique's Camaro. There was also no indication she left the parking lot on foot. She was never seen walking toward any exit on camera. Based on this, investigators concluded Christina most likely disappeared somewhere between the apartment and the parking lot or inside the lot itself. Since no footage showed her movements after that point, all other possible routes were ruled out. Police obtained a warrant to search Christina's Toyota Corolla. The car was still locked, in good condition, and showed no signs of damage or forced entry. Technicians checked the interior, but none of Christina's belongings were inside. Her purse, ID, phone, and other personal items she usually carried were gone. This suggested she never made it back to her car after leaving the party. Later, her car keys were found among her things at the apartment, confirming she had planned to drive home. There were no signs of a struggle near the car, on the ground, in the parking lot, or around any other vehicles. No scratches, broken mirrors, scattered items, or tracks suggesting anything unusual. From every observation, nothing out of the ordinary happened near the car. It sat untouched for 3 days until Christina's worried father reported her missing to police. Once the missing person report was filed, the search ramped up. Investigators asked anyone who might have seen something in the parking lot that night to come forward, but neither visitors nor residents of the complex provided useful information about Christina's presence. A careful review of additional security footage from entrances, exits, and walkways offered no further clues about her movements after the last sighting. Every piece of video evidence pointed to the same conclusion: Enrique Aroki was the last person seen with Christina at that moment. At first, the seriousness of her disappearance wasn't fully realized. Those at the gathering assumed she had simply gone home. Investigators noted that her boyfriend Hunter also didn't take immediate steps in the hours after she vanished. He didn't call 911 or check nearby hospitals. A more organized search only began after several days passed without her returning home or contacting anyone. By then, her car remained parked where she left it, triggering a full investigation. Christina didn't show up for work on September 1st, and her continued silence was the first clear sign something was terribly wrong. Her father, Mark Morris, started reaching out to her friends and contacts to piece things together. He soon realized Christina wasn't home as expected and no one knew where she was. Taking action himself, Mark drove to the apartment complex where the party had happened. He knew the location and began looking around on his own. On September 2, 3 days after Christina was last seen or heard from, a formal missing person report was filed, and police arrived at the complex that same day to start their investigation. Officers began interviewing everyone who had been at the gathering. Paulina confirmed that Christina and Enrique had left the apartment together. Next came questioning Enrique Aroki. He claimed he didn't remember much about the night because of drinking and drug use. He said he and Christina had left together but eventually went their separate ways, with Christina heading off on her own. This story directly contradicted the surveillance footage, which clearly showed both of them walking toward the parking lot together before disappearing into an area without cameras. By the evening of September 2, the investigation had intensified. Police began looking closer at Christina's friends and family and started digging into digital records. Once her disappearance was confirmed, detectives focused on rebuilding the hours leading up to it. Figuring out who was last seen with her became the top priority. Enrique Aroki was questioned early on. At first, it was a standard interview, but inconsistencies in his story and demeanor raised red flags. He admitted seeing Christina that night and attending the party hosted by their mutual friend Paulina Poloski. He said they left around the same time and walked off together. After that, his account started crumbling. Enrique claimed he had been under the influence, drinking, smoking marijuana, and taking Adderall, which he said made it hard to recall details. He admitted struggling to remember what happened after they left the apartment. During questioning, he said Christina had turned and gone a different direction while he continued to his car. He insisted that was the last time he saw her. Investigators quickly spotted holes and contradictions in his story. He couldn't give clear details about when they left, how long they walked together, where Christina supposedly went, or how far apart they were when they separated. Reviewing security footage from around the gathering showed that Enrique's version didn't match the evidence. His car was the last to leave the parking lot, and Christina had been seen with him just before that. There was no proof she went a different way or left alone, casting major doubt on his account. Investigators also noticed marks on Enrique that looked like bite-related injuries, fresh cuts, bruises, and what appeared to be an actual bite mark. When asked about them, Enrique gave inconsistent explanations. First, he said a piece of his car frame fell on him while working on it. Later, he suggested he might have hurt his hand in anger by hitting the car. At one point, he vaguely mentioned being in a fight but wouldn't say where or with whom. Detectives suspected he was hiding something, as he kept changing his story and refused to give straight answers. They asked Enrique to turn over his car for inspection, but he refused, saying he needed it for work the next day. This refusal raised more concerns, especially since his car had been the last to leave the parking lot the night Christina disappeared. Soon after, a search warrant was obtained, and police thoroughly examined Enrique's car. They paid special attention to the interior, including the trunk and back seats. Investigators found it highly unusual that areas where dirt and debris normally build up were so perfectly clean. This level of cleaning suggested someone had tried to erase evidence or traces. No dirt, hair, or debris was found anywhere else in the car. Forensic experts noted this as a possible sign of an attempt to hide a crime. Investigators also learned that Enrique was supposed to start work at 8 a.m. but didn't show up until nearly 11 a.m. the morning after Christina vanished. Co-workers noticed he looked exhausted, irritable, and moved with difficulty. Some saw him walking stiffly and complaining of rib pain. His behavior that day was out of character, with several co-workers saying he looked like he had been through a rough night. This raised more questions. What happened between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m.? Investigators grew convinced they needed to scrutinize his actions during those early morning hours. Because of his injuries, strange behavior, and inconsistent statements, Enrique Aroki, though not yet officially a suspect, was under intense police scrutiny. After Christina's disappearance, authorities kept reviewing surveillance footage, analyzing phone records, interviewing witnesses, and watching his actions closely. The gaps between Enrique's story and the evidence kept growing with every new finding. Police launched a complete forensic examination of all available data, including a detailed inspection of the trunk of Enrique's car by forensic specialists. Luminol testing revealed traces of biological fluids invisible to the naked eye. Samples were collected and sent to the lab for DNA analysis, and the results were decisive. Multiple areas of the trunk, including the rugs, rubber seals, and interior lining, contained DNA matching Christina Morris. The samples included both blood and saliva. Experts determined these traces could not have come from casual contact, and there was no chance of cross-contamination or secondary transfer. With the evidence stacking up, police made an arrest. Enrique Aroki was taken into custody at his home on December 13, 2014, 3.5 months after Christina vanished, and was formally charged with kidnapping with a dangerous weapon. Bail was set at $1 million. At that time, Christina's whereabouts remained unknown. In September 2016, the trial began in Collin County, Texas. Enrique Aroki faced charges of aggravated kidnapping, even though Christina's body had not been found. The case rested entirely on circumstantial evidence, no confirmed crime scene, no established method, and no physical item the prosecution could display. The prosecution presented 351 exhibits, including surveillance footage, cell phone records, and forensic reports. 73 witnesses gave testimony. The case was built around a detailed timeline of Christina's final known movements. A key piece of evidence came from a forensic report on Enrique's phone, which raised alarms when videos and photos were found on the device. Some files contained sexually violent content. The defense tried to have this evidence thrown out, arguing it was irrelevant. The court limited how it could be used but allowed it to provide context about the defendant's personality. Investigators also discovered an unusual item in Enrique's home, a handwritten note in a glass jar that seemed part of a ritual. The note included words and phrases about dominance and control, similar to instructions often seen on online forums. Though investigators thought it might be relevant, the court ultimately removed it from the official evidence list. During the hearings, Enrique appeared emotionally detached, refused to answer most questions, maintained his innocence, and denied any role in Christina's disappearance. His lawyers argued the evidence was weak and challenged the DNA findings. They tried to point suspicion toward Hunter Foster, claiming he and Christina had a personal conflict, but they couldn't back it up. On September 20, 2016, the judge found Enrique Aroki guilty of criminal kidnapping and sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict was read in front of Christina's family. Her mother, Johnny Hare, broke down in tears while Enrique showed no emotion as he was led away to a Texas state prison. Christina's family never stopped searching for her. Even after his conviction, the lack of her remains left a feeling of incompleteness. The case didn't feel fully closed until Christina was found. Ronnie Hare, Johnny Hare's husband, and others kept helping with the search. Volunteer teams were organized, made up of friends, neighbors, and Collin County community members. Searches covered rural areas, parks, and wooded regions. Tim Miller, founder of the nonprofit Texas X Search, became a central figure in the effort. He joined after meeting Christina's mother in person. The team used thermal cameras, drones, scent tracking dogs, and specialized equipment for searching in water. Along with the physical searches, Christina's family ran a public awareness campaign to keep her name alive. Memorial events, social media pages, and flyers were distributed. In interviews, her mother Johnny Hare repeatedly stressed the importance of keeping Christina in the public eye. "We won't stop until we bring Christina home, no matter what it takes," her family said. Her father, Mark Morris, stayed out of the public eye but continued coordinating the search from elsewhere in Collin County. He hired private investigators and digital forensics experts. The family also kept close tabs on Enrique Aroki, hoping that with a life sentence, he might eventually reveal where Christina's body was. Legal efforts continued. The family's attorneys filed motions to access materials not presented in court, arguing the public and the family deserved more information about what Aroki did in the hours after Christina disappeared. Despite the passing years, the family kept organizing search efforts near the city of Allen, an area police had flagged as potentially important. They focused on locations where Enrique's car had been stopped on August 30, 2014. The searches continued in the mornings even without active police involvement, because the family believed the case had stalled. On March 7, 2018, utility workers in rural Dallas County just outside Allen discovered remains while installing cable along a remote road. The workers immediately alerted authorities. Forensic experts arrived, and the area was secured. Identification began with dental records and DNA testing. Within days, it was confirmed the remains belonged to Christina Morris. Only partial skeletal remains were recovered. No clothing or personal items were found. According to medical examiners, the body had been exposed to the elements for more than 3 years. The cause of death could not be determined due to severe decomposition. The remains were found in the same general area the family had searched repeatedly between 2015 and 2017, but its remote, wooded location likely explained why the body stayed hidden so long. Records showed Enrique Aroqui's cell phone had been in that exact location on August 30, 2014. That morning, Christina's family and friends learned of the discovery through news reports, ending nearly 4 years of painful uncertainty. Though her body had been recovered, many questions about how she died remained unanswered. The exact sequence of events and critical moments were never captured on any recording. Still, the case was officially closed, and her disappearance was formally classified as a murder. A memorial sign was placed, and the family held a private funeral, asking for no further public attention or comments. Enrique Aroqui, still serving his life sentence, stayed silent after Christina's remains were found. His lawyers also declined to comment, stating only that the original verdict stood and no new court proceedings were planned. From that final walk across the Plano parking lot, captured by cameras for just a few minutes, Christina Morris's story reached its heartbreaking end. The recovered remains now stand as silent witnesses to what happened, a quiet reminder of how fragile life can be. If you found this case compelling, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Hidden Cases Files. We post crime case videos every night. Until next time, stay sharp, stay vigilant. Thanks for watching.